Hello and welcome to the Ram Show, and welcome to September. It is September 3rd, 2017. We are back for another exciting episode of the Ram Show. And let me make sure to click the right buttons here. There we go. And Zach, everyone should be able to hear you now because I think I've got
just a real quick check here, all right? You did do everything this week. All the things, not just turning the stream on. You mean you turned the mics on, all that stuff, right?
This is going to become a weekly thing, isn't it?
Of course it is. Are you kidding me?
Hey, we've been pretty good so far.
You.
So let's see. I've got my monitor laptop over here, so I can see the stream. I see us in it.
Good.
Let me remember to mute that.
We're on the right track.
So I see us over there. I see audio levels for my mic, and go ahead and talk real quick.
You see them for mine too, right?
Yes, I see them for yours as well. So we are off to a good start this week.
Awesome. All right, that's good.
So Joe is not with us this week, so I found out why Joe stopped listening last week, and it actually does make a lot of sense. I'm sure some of it was that he was probably actually bored with it, but I'm sure the major problem that he was having is that because he wasn't hearing the audio coming from the computer, like I am, because I hear you in real time, but the stream is delayed by 10 to 15 seconds. So he was hearing me say something, and then he was hearing me say it 10 to 15 seconds later too. So I can only imagine how annoying that would be. So
I wouldn't blame him.
It's funny. So whenever we do lives for the news or anything like that, we have to actually remember to go in and set up what's called a mix minus. So basically what we do is we take the audio source that that person is on. So we have I think we actually have 5 backpacks, but we only use 3 of them, and they're really cool. So basically how they work, they've got cellular cards in them, and then they just lock onto a cellular network. You plug the camera into it, you fire the thing up, and then it streams back to the station, and we have software and other things that allow us to pick up the signal. Anyway, so we have 3 different channels for them, and so we have to remember to take their channel down that they're on so they don't hear themselves in their IFB 3 seconds later. But it's really funny. It's really funny when it happens.
Throw you off a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's really funny when it happens, and we can tell too, because they'll rip their IFB out of their ear. The problem is then they can't hear the producer, so we try to make sure that we don't do that. But anyway, so first topic for this week. Now Zach, you're not big on social media, are you?
Not really.
Do you even have any social media?
I find it very boring, but I find this quite funny, that's for sure.
So, if you haven't heard by now, good old Instagram got hacked. Oh yeah.
Awesome. That's real good job, guys.
Well, this is not a new thing. Facebook has been getting hacked for years.
What do you mean Facebook has been getting hacked? Aren't you talking about people's Facebook account?
Okay, that was interesting. I just looked at the monitor, the health monitor for the stream. It dropped for a second there. I think we're good. It's back to green now. Oh yeah, their accounts have been getting hacked, I guess. And
well, yeah,
Twitter
people's accounts.
Getting hacked has been, it's not something new. It's been happening for years.
I mean, it's a little more notable when the service itself gets hacked.
Yeah, so I guess, now, of course, not that I blame them, but they are not, actually saying how many accounts I think actually got hacked, if I remember correctly. Hold on. Of course, as usual, I'm not prepared for the show.
Good job.
Well, I mean, what else is new, so... Hey, there we go. Okay. Which one is it? There. Okay, it's that one. There's so many different buttons to hit that I oh, let's watch the Corsair utility engine crash again. Yep. I think it's gonna crash on me. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it won't crash on me.
It's some real nice software,
Nope,
isn't it?
there it
Yeah,
goes.
I don't know why it does
It
that.
just
It
crashed.
doesn't crash for me, but what it does do is it becomes really slow and laggy until you restart it. I never understood why.
Like, every time I change... So I have my pause break button set as, like, a hotkey to switch between my profiles.
All right.
And like I said...
I don't do any profile switching either,
Yeah.
which might be why I have a little bit better experience.
That's probably why, but so, like I switch... Like, I have one for gaming that just, like, all the keys are red, and then it has WASD in white. Or, excuse me, yeah, white. And then the one for the RAM show, everything is red except for certain keys. Like, all the scene keys are white, and then my two transition keys have different colors, so they set them apart a little bit. It's just so I can remember kind of what my keys actually are. But anyway.
Neato.
Even though half the time I forget which one is the cut button and which one is the fade button. But anyway. So, now that I've actually got everything where it's supposed to be and everything, I actually made graphics this week. I can actually...
Well, aren't you fancy?
Right. Well, I have more time this week. I didn't write the whole show in, like, the afternoon. I wrote it last night. Actually, that's a lie. I did do it earlier today. But anyway. So, a bug that exposed users' contact information affected a far greater number of accounts than Instagram originally said. Okay, so I was wrong. They actually did say, but I don't think they said specifically how many. Now, the bug, which appeared to have been responsible for Selena Gomez's account being hacked this week, allowed hackers to scrape email addresses and contact information from millions of accounts. So this was written on Friday. That's what they said on Friday. It has since been fixed, as I would hope it has been.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, while the company first said the hack was limited to holders of verified accounts, it said on Friday that non-verified users had been affected as well.
Well, good job.
Again, I don't think they say how many. So, hours after the hack was disclosed, hackers established a searchable database named Doxagram. Does that sound right to you? I think so.
Doxagram?
That's what I'm going with.
Good job.
What?
Well, I mean, I actually didn't even hear what you said. I just said it myself.
Okay. All right, mister, I'm going to make fun of how you pronounce things. How do you pronounce the CEO of Microsoft's name?
I'll have to pass on that one.
I think it's Satya Nutella or something, or Nutella. Nutella or Nutella? Something like that. I know his first name is Satya. Anyway. Back to this. So, anyway, the site was set up, and then users could actually search for a victim's contact information for just $10 per search. So,
yep. So instead of doing their own things with this information, they're just going to sell it to anyone who has $10, which I guess could be considered their own things with it.
Okay, but think about this. Like, I don't know how many... excuse me. I don't know how many... like, people went to the website, how many people paid the $10, but $10 adds up quite fast.
Yep. And I wonder how many people paid $10 just to see if they were in there.
I don't know if people would necessarily search for themselves, but I can see them searching for, let's see. I guess here's some of the information that was included. Actors like Emma Watson, Emilia Clarke. I actually don't know who that is. Zac Efron, Leonardo DiCaprio, Channing Tatum. For musicians, yeah. Harry Styles, Ellie Goulding, Victoria Beckham, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, and Rihanna. You also have Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Adele, Snoop Dogg, and Britney Spears. And I'm not even going to bother talking about. Well, the only athlete I will point out is David Beckham, because that's the only one on this list that I actually know. So yeah. Let's see what else is in here. The hacker provided a list of 1,000 accounts they said were available for searching on the site, to the Daily Beast, I guess. And the list included most of the 50 most followed accounts on the service. Instagram still will not say how many accounts were affected, and I don't think they ever will. Agreed?
I wouldn't even trust their word on that anyway. Like, rather get someone
Right? Yeah,
a
they're
little
going to
less
make it a lot.
biased
They're going to
to
say it's a
give you
lot
the
less.
numbers.
Yeah, they're going to say it's a lot less than it actually was, just to make it sound better. Which
Yeah.
is smart marketing on their part, but anyway. But other than that, it says a low percentage of Instagram accounts, I guess, were actually affected. There are more than 700 million active Instagram accounts. Holy crap, that's a lot. Hackers say they have information on file for 6 million users. Now, users' passwords were not exposed in the hack. So I don't know whether they actually had, like, password information, or if it was more just to get the, like, phone numbers and email addresses and sell that information.
I bet the passwords were properly stored, and because of that, they didn't get the password.
I would
So-
hope.
At least I would hope. I mean, I don't know.
I
If they
would
weren't
hope.
properly stored, then I guess the people responsible for that.
Yeah. So I guess the site has been shut down now, but of course, you know, it's the internet. Once something's out there, you know, it's out there. So I'm sure there are a lot of celebrities changing phone numbers and email addresses.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have people to do that for them anyway.
Right? You know what I saw? Have you ever seen what is it? Impractical Jokers or Practical? It's one of those shows on like True TV or something like that, I think. Anyway,
I'm a
basically,
huge TV watcher.
oh yeah, that's right. I forget about that. Basically, the premise of the show is that like it's this group of guys and they like tell each other to like they dare each other. I think actually.
Oh, actually, you know what? I do know that show. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
funny.
yeah. So like one
They
of them
just
like
they gotta get each other to do the worst things.
Yeah. well, it's just like jokes and stuff like that. So like
It's pretty funny.
I saw like I was scrolling through Facebook one day and like a video popped up of them and I started watching it and like one of the guys kept tweeting out like one of the guy's phone numbers and then he would change it. So he would like call his cell phone provider, change it, and then he would tweet out the new number that he just got. And it was like all in a series of like, you know, 15 minutes or something like that. It was pretty funny. So
Good stuff.
it was actually pretty funny. But anyway. Okay. This one I thought was okay.
Are we moving on?
We are moving on. Okay. See if you agree with me here. So it's funny, but it shouldn't be funny. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't know. It's not really.
I think okay. What
Like-
I should say is like the idea of it is like funny, I guess.
Yeah, this like why is this thing? Why is someone even able to interface with this thing? What?
That's kind of what I was thinking. So okay, if you're super confused, let's get into it. Let's start with this. You may need to take grandma or grandpa to the hospital for a firmware upgrade. And if
So
you're super confused,
here's the other thing.
well, hold on.
Why? Like, I bet stuff like this is probably over the line for a lot of I guess hackers, if we can group them all into that.
I would hope.
You know, they might be willing to, you know, take down some websites or steal some data, but you know, messing with stuff like this might even put some of those types over the line.
I would hope. So, anyways,
Because that's pretty far into the deep end.
yes, it is. Okay, Let me explain real quick here. So if you're still confused, basically, if you know somebody who has a pacemaker or something like that, some of them, like, I guess, are internet enabled or like can interface with like Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And like they're connected basically. And why a pacemaker needs to be connected, I have no idea. We talked about
Hey,
this a couple
what
weeks
the
ago.
heck? Like, I guess the only thing you could really say about that is like maybe it sends information back to someone who's
You know
supposed to
what? I think
monitor it
that
for the
I think
good of
that
the
actually
person
is true.
wearing the thing.
I
Maybe,
I think
but
that's
like,
true. Yeah, like
darn sure it's secure.
yeah. So basically, what this is saying is that like I guess they've come up with a fix, but in order to get it, you have to go for a firmware upgrade for the thing. And it's not like something you can just do at home. You have to go to like your medical professional and have them do it. Now, the effective pacemakers are made by St. Jude Medical. It was acquired by Abbott. Abbott? I think it's Abbott.
Oh yeah, Abbott probably.
Uh, but it was
Sounded
acquired back in January. The models are radio frequency enabled and were manufactured before August 28th. Any device manufactured from this week on will already have this update pre-installed. Here's the scary thing, though, is so while there is a fix for this now through a firmware upgrade, as with any firmware upgrade, there's the potential for it to brick the device. Which
There's also the potential for a lot of people to not go to get that upgrade because they're lazy.
or they're uninformed too. Because think about this.
Oh, I mean that too.
Like, think about this. How many older people do we know that aren't tech savvy?
Well, you would hope that these companies would go out of their way to contact them.
I would hope, yes. I would hope. But like, let's go back to this real quick here. Now, I've never flashed. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. I've never flashed a motherboard before, but I flashed a router before multiple times with software and stuff like that. I actually bricked a router by accident one time, and then managed to unbrick it. So
I guess you didn't quite brick it then, but good job.
I like bricked it for a little bit, and then I managed to unbrick it. But like, this is the thing with this, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago too, with the I think it was like 2 weeks ago with the smart lock company that bricked the devices by accident.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But anyway, so like, think about it though. Like, okay, like bricking like a smart lock or a computer or a router, like, yes, it's inconvenient and stuff like that. Bricking a pacemaker, something that is supposed to keep a person alive, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how this came to light or how this mistake was made, but I wouldn't be surprised to see those responsible receiving a hefty fine or something of like that
I think anytime you open something up to being connected to the internet, you are faced with this problem. So, like, okay, and it does say in here that, like, you know, with the firmware upgrade, like, certain data and, like, I'm not sure about diagnostics, but, like, information and stuff like that, like, the device is stored can be, like, wiped out and everything, which may or may not be a big problem. But, yeah, so I'm sure part of the advantage of it being, like, connected to the internet is that, like, medical professionals can, like, see real-time data and stuff like that. But the thing you have to ask yourself is it worth that? Like, is it worth having the capability if it opens up this problem?
Yeah.
Like, why can't it just be something like, you know, like RFID or something like that, where you have, like, a device and you just, like, you know, like, you put it near it when you're at the doctor's office and it, like, reads the data off of it. I think they do something similar to that with, like your gas meter or something like that, where the person comes by, they have, like, a device.
Even like Bluetooth or personal area network.
I wouldn't, like, okay, I could see a problem with Bluetooth as well.
Well, that's why I said something of the sort.
Yeah, like something of the sort.
Close range.
Yeah, close range that's like, you know, specific
I mean, I guess
to
we don't know
those
the specifics
devices.
of this. Perhaps this is something that only works in the vicinity of the device as well.
Yeah, I don't know. So the FDA estimates that 465,000 vulnerable devices have been implemented in patients in the US. Hackers could use commercially available equipment to change the device's programming. In May, researchers found that pacemaker programmers could intercept devices using equipment that costs, get this, anywhere from $15 to $3,000.
So the capability doesn't really cost you much.
No. So Abbott will now require devices to provide authorization in order to communicate with the pacemaker. Why wasn't this implemented from the start?
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's something that's this important, something that, mind you, is supposed to keep people alive, like, you think the security would have been better figured out.
I mean,
I don't know.
Security through obscurity never works.
Yeah.
You would think this would be obvious.
Well, yeah, like, and I'm sure what somebody was thinking was, oh, like, this shouldn't be a huge problem. Like, you know, why would a hacker want to... And as you said before, I would hope that that is crossing a line for hackers, but you never know. You know?
Well, I mean, there's obviously someone who's willing to do it. I bet a lot of people aren't.
I bet a lot of people aren't either. But, like, think about this. Like, if you really had, like, a dark mind or something like that, and you knew somebody with a pacemaker and had a little bit of knowledge with this stuff, like, you know, maybe make it look like an accident. Yeah, like,
little
scary and make it look like an accident kind of thing. Use your imagination on that, because we're not going to go any further, but anyway.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. So, if you don't know what firmware is, basically it's software for, like, hardware. It tells it how to do certain things.
It's very low level.
Yeah, very low level. Like, basically when your computer starts up, like, there's firmware, like, in your... Well, firmware for the motherboard that, like, tells it how to, like, connect to the different things that it needs to connect to, and then once Windows is loaded, Windows takes over. It is a little more complicated than that, because there's, like, things with the kernel and other stuff like that, but we're not going to get into all that. Mostly because I've kind of forgotten how all that stuff works.
It's been a while since I even reviewed it.
Right?
Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, that's right. You weren't in that class last semester.
That class was mostly a review for me.
So
that was just a hardware class.
Well, no, the hardware class is the first one.
Are you talking about something else?
Not the Windows one, but
yeah, the hardware class. Oh
no, it wasn't a hardware.
I think.
Okay, no, we took Intro to Computers our first semester. That was the hardware class.
I don't think that was Intro to Computers. Intro to Computers was like a very
or not Intro to
Computers.
IT Essentials. That's what it was.
I don't know what it was. It was one class, but
I
think we both know what we're talking about. Oh yeah,
it was yes. It was
All
IT Essentials 1, and that was a hardware class. And then me and Joe took IT Essentials 2. That was more of like a software class.
I didn't take that one.
Yeah, but you didn't take that one. And that class, we talked about how the kernel and all that fun stuff works. So, anyway. Getting off of that, because we're getting distracted now, but, you know, what else is new? So this update should be an easier fix for patients than undergoing surgery for a new hack-proof device. Which, okay, yes. Because think about, like, this. Like, being able to go into your doctor's office, sitting there for... Mind you, it's like a 3-minute process or something like that. That's what I read here. Yeah, 3-minute update. Administered by a healthcare provider. But that's a heck of a lot easier, cheaper, and less time-consuming than having to schedule surgery, go in for the surgery, have a new pacemaker put in that's hack-proof, not to mention all the recovery time and stuff like that, and then lost hours of work and yada yada yada. So, yeah. So during this time, the device will run in a backup mode. So I guess there is kind of like a like there's a little redundancy, I guess, in it. Which okay, kudos to that. Um, so I guess supposedly then the thing just won't like I would hope just wouldn't shut down because that'd be bad. Uh,
Yes, that would be bad. A lot of people would be sued for a lot of money in that case, I think, as well.
oh yes, it's
A lot of
possible.
people would lose their jobs too. Maybe actually, perhaps not a
Well,
lot of people. Perhaps it could have been only one person responsible, but that person would probably find a tough time getting a new job in that field.
you know what though? So, well, I don't know exactly all the logistics of it, but I know like at least like doctors, they have like malpractice insurance or something like that. I was gonna
Oh
say
well, I
malware
mean,
insurance.
malware insurance. Close, but not quite.
Yeah, close but not quite. Hey, we're techies here. We're not health professionals. No, malpractice insurance. In fact, my mother's a nurse. I don't know if my mother has malpractice insurance. Anyway.
Mm.
But like I know doctors are supposed to have it and everything, and basically if like something goes super wrong, like the malpractice insurance like kicks in and like saves their butt kind of sort of thing. Um, yeah. So
Sounds like a good time.
anyway, now it's possible that diagnostics data or settings will be lost, or worse, that the device will, yes, be bricked. Which, not just oops, but big oops.
Yes, that too.
So, like with anything, patients should talk with their doctors before deciding whether they're going to go for the firmware upgrade or not. And, you know, what the benefits are and things like that. Now, in an alert, the FDA warned patients that any device that connects to Wi-Fi or the internet is vulnerable to hacking. Really? I didn't know that. Did you know that, Zach?
Yeah, this is news to me.
Yeah, right? Now, the agency also noted that connectivity has its benefits, which is true, including safer and more convenient healthcare. I wouldn't necessarily maybe go as far as to say safer. I would say
It's like 99% as safe, but way more convenient.
yeah, it's way more convenient. So I wouldn't necessarily say safer. I would say more convenient.
Mhm.
Now, as with most things, I lost my spot there. As with most things in medicine, patients will have to determine whether the risks actually are worth it. You know what I love? Now, you don't watch TV very often, but like when I see commercials for like some new drug that's on the market and stuff like that, it's like,
yeah.
it does this and it does this and it does this, but then
Side effects may include.
yeah, side effects may include yada yada yada
horrible
yada yada
things.
yada 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 yada. Oh, and even in up to death. It's like, so like yeah, I'm sitting there like, is it worth it?
Well, you know, you would hope that most of those things don't happen often.
Right? Yeah. You would hope. I would imagine
I'm
like
sure
the.
But
I would
still,
imagine they
it
don't
just
because
kind
you
of
wouldn't
is.
be
It's a
seeing
little
a commercial
funny,
for
just
them.
you know, just having them rattle off this list of horrible things that might happen to
Exactly.
you, all while trying to get you to
Yeah.
buy their product or convince you that you should have.
It's like this new self-driving car is awesome.
This
or
might fix your problem.
Yeah, this thing might fix your problem, but it also might kill you. Like that. Like oh okay. So I'm sure it doesn't though, because if it did, like if the side effects were really like super that bad, like I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be seeing advertisement for it.
Well, yeah.
Just saying.
Like, obviously, they have to get it down to a level where most people are going to be fine.
Now, okay, here's the funny thing. Well, okay, I shouldn't say funny thing about this, but you're probably gonna laugh. Get this. This is not the first time that Abbott's Jude Medical Unit's pacemakers have been found to contain cybersecurity vulnerabilities.
Oh, now that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In January, the FDA issued a similar warning for the company's implantable RF pacemakers and corresponding transmitters that could be exploited to administer inappropriate pacing or shocks.
Oh boy.
I'm not a medical expert, but
I don't think
inappropriate
those are
pacing
good
and
things.
shocks. Yeah, I don't think those are good things. Just saying.
Yeah. Maybe you want to avoid those.
So, anyway, yeah. But yeah, so that's a thing that happened this week.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I saw that story. I was like, yeah, this has to go on the Ram show this week. That's a pretty significant story. So, anyway. Zach, it is your favorite time.
Oh, is it this one?
It is time for the Microsoft news. As you probably know, you can't hear it, but I changed the sound effect in there. To sound different now. Anyway, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay. I've got too many different buttons to hit now. So I've got like 1 through 7 that are like all hotkeys on the keyboard. 0 is a hotkey. Q, W, and A are hotkeys. That like all like bring up different scenes and stuff like that. So, and remembering which one is which is a little tricky.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, okay, so luckily I have a program monitor and I have a preview monitor, so I can see what I've got like coming up next before I actually go to it. Everything. So, you know what's super funny? So we've got a brand new director at work, and he's learning how to run the board and everything. So, he's actually doing decently well, but it's funny when things don't go right.
I can see how that would be.
Yeah, so like the other day he had everything set up and then he like second guessed himself, and right before we were supposed to go to something, he like totally hit another button. So like a graphic like disappeared, and then like some other things happened, and like we rolled something called a stinger, which is basically like what you just saw on the live stream, that little Microsoft news thing. But like we got halfway through it and then it like went back to camera and some other stuff happened. It was kind of interesting. So, and so we have these things called OTSs. They're basically like an over the shoulder. You've probably seen that on the news before, where the graphic is like next to the anchor basically. And so we have to pan the camera over, so there's room for that. And basically how it works, there's a it's basically like a layer, but we call them keys, and you can turn them on individually and stuff like that. So like I think he accidentally like hit the wrong button too, so like the OTS disappeared. So here's the anchor sitting there. There's like this huge gap on the what would it be, the left hand side of them.
Whoops.
So wouldn't be the first time that's happened. First time I've ever seen this. So our camera operator, who was out in the studio the other day, forgot to pan the camera over for the OTS. And the director, well, actually, okay. So what happened was we have these thing called full pages, which are like a full page graphic with like text on them usually and stuff like that, or they're mugshots or things like that. And now those are done in our character generator software. And so we'll go from like a full page to an OTS, which is also in our software. So we change it. Well, they have to do this weird thing on the board where they like set it up basically. And so our director like set it up incorrectly and he couldn't see the shot. And so we went to the OTS and it was right over our anchor's face. It was actually pretty funny. And like she noticed it because we've got monitors out there in the studio. So she's like leaning off to the side, like out of the way of the graphic that's over her. So anyway, yes.
Whoops.
So that's a couple fun things that have happened recently. So anyway, all right, into the Microsoft news. Surface Mini images from earlier this year have been leaked. So I guess the Surface Mini was a project that Microsoft was working on, but like decided to cancel.
That looks kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. Okay. So let me do this real quick here. So this is what it looks like, and I mean, it looks like a regular Surface. I'm just guessing it's tinier, hence the name Surface Mini. So like literally like an iPad, except for a mini iPad.
Basically, what it says.
You know what I don't understand is the iPad Pro. Like, why do you need something that big?
I don't know.
I don't get it. I guess I can maybe see if you're like an artist or something like. Anyway. So now we've got pictures of what this thing looks like. So some guy named Evan Blass, he published marketing images for the Surface Mini, revealing a red rubber case with a kickstand and full specifications. So the Surface Mini was reportedly a 7.5-inch device with a 1440 by 1080 display, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, and 32 gigabytes of storage. It appears that Microsoft was planning black, red, and blue variants of the Surface Mini before its cancellation.
It's not very beefy.
Well,
that's for sure.
It's a smaller device too. Like, think about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but even so, it's still not very beefy. There are phones that would probably make this thing look fast.
You know what though? And for
slow,
like a Surface, like Surfaces aren't like horribly spec'd for what they are. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, I mean they're reasonably spec'd.
Yeah, they're reasonably spec'd for what they are.
They're not really spec'd much worse than laptops.
Yeah.
At least, well, okay. Around their price points, they are. But
I would consider a Surface Pro to be. If I had to compare it to another product, I would compare it to like a 2-in-1.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is, right?
You know what? See, this is what I don't know. It's
I wonder why they canceled this thing though.
And that I didn't find. I don't know why they canceled it. Maybe a quick Google search on your end. Wow. I'm not surprised actually. Anyway, so Microsoft was originally planning to introduce the Surface Mini tablet alongside its Surface Pro 3 at an event in May of 2014. While the Surface Pro 3 was announced, hold on. Excuse me. I knew that was coming. Microsoft CEO Satya, actually I think it's Satya Nadella.
And you could probably Google it. Pronunciation, but whatever. We'll just call him the Microsoft CEO, huh?
It's S-A-T.
Mr. Boss Man.
It's S-A-T, so it's Satya. Because there's no C in it. So it's not Satya. It's Satya. Satya Nadella and former Nokia CEO Stephen Elop? I hate names! Let's just... Basically, they canceled the Surface Mini project just weeks before. The Surface Mini was powered by Qualcomm's ARM processors, which, by the way, those are dead now, aren't they?
Qualcomm?
No, the ARM processors.
ARM processors? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Dead?
I thought they stopped using ARM processors and things.
No, they still plenty exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought we had a conversation at some point,
ARM is not a product line, it's an architecture.
That's what it is. But I think what I thought I remember you saying was that the ARM architecture was being phased out.
Oh, I mean, they may have moved to a new version of it. I'm not sure.
I don't remember. This is back when we were talking about Windows 10s.
I actually don't remember that.
Yeah, this is when we were talking about Windows 10s.
Right. I think I was talking about the Windows for ARM was kind of phasing out.
Oh, okay. That probably was what it was. Anyway. Oh, I feel another sneeze coming on. I would like to point this out. This is the first time I've ever sneezed on the live stream. So I'm doing
Congratulations.
well. That's always my fear when I'm out in the studios, like sneezing over air. I haven't done it yet, but I would not be the first person to do it. So, anyway, um, so it was designed to run Windows RT and support the Surface Pen, codenamed Surface Iris. The mini tablet looks like a note-taking device for students and even a tablet for kids thanks to its size and colors. I could see it for like, yeah. Um, oh gosh, what do you know what that little tablet is called that's like actually meant for kids? I can't remember what the name of it is.
Mm, hmm.
Is it like the Joby or Gobi or something like that?
I don't know.
I don't remember what it
No, I
is.
can't say I
You
can't
know
say
what
I
I'm
know what you're
talking.
talking about.
Okay, you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's like a little tablet that's like actually it's like an Android tablet, but it's like
It's
designed
like
for
covered in
actual.
like rubber and stuff, so you can
Yeah,
beat the.
yep, yeah, exactly. Like it kind of reminds me of that, but it's not as small, I guess, or at least it doesn't look as small in the graphics that I have here. Um, anyway, I lost my spot again. Surface Cheap Panos Panay previously described the Surface Mini as like a uh, moleskin. Is that what that says? Mollusk.
I don't. What does that mean? Let me look that up.
I'm not sure. Further commenting its creation as a notepad replacement.
Moleskine. Apparently, it's a brand of something. Moleskine, assuming I'm saying that right, is a brand that encompasses a family of nomadic objects: notebooks, diaries, journals, bags, writing instruments, blah blah blah.
Okay. Microsoft probably canceled the tablet at the right time. The software giant didn't have much success with its Windows RT tablets. Maybe that's why they canceled it.
I don't know, maybe.
And the larger tablet maker or market has ignored 7 or 8-inch tablets in favor of larger smartphones. So, interesting. You have that graphic. Let's go over specs real quick for this thing.
Sure.
So, I've got the graphic up here, so I'll let you take over, Mr. Chief of Hardware.
Ah, great. So what exactly are we looking at here? Well, what stands out to me?
Yeah, let's just go down the list
I
here.
don't know. All right, so it runs Windows RT 8.1. Now, 8.1, that's kind of interesting. I thought they were heavy on this Windows 10. Okay, dimensions, pretty standard. 8.8. I almost said 8 pounds. Geez, that would be heavy. What the heck? 8 pounds?
Wait, it was 8 pounds?
No. It's 0.8 pounds.
Oh,
I almost said
8 pounds for a
no.
for
If it
a
was
tablet?
8 pounds, that would be
Ooh.
a failure right out of the gate.
Whoa! Yeah,
Heavier than most laptops? Sure thing.
right?
Screen 7.9, 7.5 inch, 1440 by 1080.
That's a weird
Not
like
sure I'm a fan.
That's a weird resolution, isn't it?
I'm not a fan of that resolution. Like, geez, I mean, I have a cheap Android tablet, and even that thing has a 2K resolution.
I think I know my laptop, my MacBook Pro has a odd resolution. It might actually be 1440. I think it is 1440 by 1080.
Well, yours is a little older. How old is this thing? Wait, actually, that might explain the 8.1.
That's what I was
How
thinking.
Old is this?
Well, okay, so I guess it was designed around the time of. It was going to be released with the Surface Pro 3.
Oh, let's see. Planning to introduce it in May 2014. Okay, that actually explains. No wonder they're saying 8.1 because 10 probably.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Anyway, okay, let's see. I definitely don't recognize that CPU, but it would be nice to have a core count or clock speed or something. But neither of those RAM amounts are looking very nice, if you ask me. 2 gigabytes for the higher end one. Really? That's it? That's a little bit low, I think.
Yeah, by today's standards, And for a Surface Pro,
Well,
well,
you
maybe
see,
not.
even then,
I think I was at Best Buy the other day. I was looking at them just nonchalantly because I was like, you know what the heck. I think I can't remember if it was 4 or if it was 8. Um, I think one of them might have been 8, but I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But
well, anyway, let's see. 2014, would that have been a decent amount for a mobile device in 2014? I guess that would be, I suppose maybe we could say that's more middle of the road then, maybe.
okay,
That's just kind of an estimate. And Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, yeah, it's pretty standard. No clue about the battery life. Cameras, nope, I'm not an expert on those. That's okay, good. It's got micro
oh,
SD
okay. Hang on,
card.
hang on, hang on.
That's
Let's go back to the camera, video, and audio because this is sort of kind of my area here, a little bit.
sure thing.
So 2 video cameras, one in the front, one in the back. So a 5 megapixel, which isn't great, but I mean, okay, I'll give them 1080. I will give them that. With auto focusing rear camera. And the front facing one is a 2.1 megapixel. Okay, so like your standard kind of. That's actually kind of crummy, actually, for a camera.
Yeah, maybe.
Eh. Well, I don't know what the iPhone is up to now. It's at least 7, I think, megapixels. But like my little camera that I have, for recording our videos, that's like a 16 megapixel camera. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Not
5
bad.
is. Yeah.
I don't think tablets usually have very good cameras anyway,
No.
because who the heck uses their tablet to take pictures?
That's true, but the 2.1 megapixel like front-facing camera, that one's just crap.
Hmm.
You're not going to get any detail with that.
Well, generally, front-facing ones are pretty bad.
That's true. You got 2 microphones, so okay, whoop-de frickin' ding dong do. Uh, stereo speakers with Dolby sound. Okay, so.
I mean, that doesn't really tell you much, does
about
it?
what you expect with what you're getting here, kind of.
The other thing we don't know is how much this thing costs. Some of these specs I've complained about might be completely nullified if, for example, was fairly.
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't even know if they came up with pricing on this because they decided to cancel the thing.
Decided to can it, yeah.
Although,
well, I do like the micro SD card. That's good. More things need to have those. Like I don't know why so many device manufacturers seem to think they can get away with not having that. It's great to have.
So
What are they trying to push people to buy the more expensive, higher storage options? What's the?
Yeah. So okay, if I had to say something real quick here though on pricing, so being that it is a Microsoft product, it's a Surface. So Surfaces run in about the $1,000 range. Being that is the mini option, I would imagine that they would knock the price down a little bit. So I could see this maybe being in the $600 to $700 range, maybe.
I was thinking more 500, but then again, this is my knows what they think it's worth.
And that's why I'm thinking like you drop the price down like a couple hundred or so. So okay, with that information, let's go with that. By the way, we're totally just making that number up. But anyway, with that being said, looking at the specs, where would you... Decent?
Where would I put this?
Yeah.
Where would I put this as far as...
Well, okay, because you were saying, like, based on the pricing, like, the specs could be...
Oh, well, I mean, I could probably make some form of an opinion these days, but I don't know about for 2014. I mean... I don't know. I guess I don't know what to tell you there.
Okay.
Like, I have an Android tablet that was like $180, and that was last year. So, okay, it's got better specs than this thing, minus the storage, which is only 32. It's got 2 gigs of RAM. It's got an Intel Atom and a much nicer screen, but I mean, I don't know what something like that would have cost 2 years ago, or 2 years prior to when I got.
Right. Well, all right then.
Let's
I
be
mean,
generous and say 400. I don't know.
well, you know what? Let's move on.
I
Here.
agree.
Okay. I might let you talk a little bit about this. Well, let's run through this one really kind of quickly here, because there's not a
Sure.
ton here. So AMD's Threadripper chips are the company's, of course, top of the line chips that are or desktop processors that are now coming out, offering the best performance and the most cores of any of the Ryzen lineup, yeah, of the Ryzen line of processors, basically. Um, they're not quite as expensive as Intel's high-end multi-core offerings, um, which is probably helping AMD out, I'm sure. Let's see. Now, okay, first line of them weren't exactly cheap, which is true, because like I think the top line was like in the thousands, wasn't it? Like
Yes.
top of the
Well, okay.
line.
I believe 800 for the 1920X and 1000 for the 1950X.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Anyway, I guess they just released the 1900X model of Threadripper.
Interesting. So this
Uh,
is 8 cores, right? But it costs more than the 1800X. So what exactly is better about it? Well, I would hope it's clocked faster, I guess.
it's less powerful on paper, 8 cores, 16 threads. It's compared to its more powerful siblings, the 799 Ryzen Threadripper 1920X that comes with 12 cores and 24 threads, and the $999,000 1950X. Okay, so there's pricing information here for those 16 cores, 32 threads. This is so the 1900X is being priced at $549. So it comes pretty close, I guess, to Ryzen 7 model, or the top Ryzen 7 model, which is $499. And that's the Ryzen
Extra
7
features.
1800X.
Well, let's see. Oh, not much info there, I see. Well,
No, really not. I think Linus and who was it this week? I think it was James, actually. Some new writer or something like that. He's expanded his team, I guess.
well, in any case, it only costs only quote unquote $50 more. So even just a bump in clock speeds might, a pretty reasonable bump in clock speeds could be enough to warrant that extra cost.
And I think that's what they were talking about. I think they were talking about how it's like it might have faster speeds or something with it, like being able to like I don't remember exactly, but like yeah, there was something like there were more features in it and stuff like that for like the additional $50 or whatever, I guess. So yeah, like there really isn't much here other than like, hey, this new chip is available. So
Fair enough. I guess we'll see more about it sooner or later.
oh, I'm sure there's information out there if we Googled it right now, but anyway. I was watching I don't know, do you know who John Oliver is?
Yes.
Okay, so I was watching an episode of John Oliver. He does this show called Last Week Tonight. John Oliver is hilarious, by the way. And I'm gonna screw this up, but anyway, he was talking about net neutrality, and anyway, basically the joke is that like he has a graphic of like Bing, and he's like, Bing, what the heck is Bing, or something like that, or like that's assuming that Bing actually exists. And then basically it goes to the only way you would know that is by Googling it. And that's kind of sort of the point.
Wow.
I screwed that up. It's a lot funnier if you actually go watch it. But anyway, yeah, so he basically like, knocks down Bing and then, says the only way that we would know if Bing actually exists is if you went and go like Googled it.
He's their competitor?
So anyway, I totally screwed that up, but anyway, so speaking of net neutrality, this is our big topic for this week here. After months of debate, protest, and disruptions, the FCC's comment period on its proposal to kill net neutrality is now over. The commission stopped accepting comments at midnight Eastern Time on Thursday, August 31st, closing out with nearly 22 million total replies, setting an immense new record. The FCC's previous comment record was just 3.7 million set during the last net neutrality proceedings.
Well, hopefully they, actually read them.
So here's the problem with this. As I was reading this article, there were a decent number of them that were like Spanish. So the process of receiving all those comments was far from smooth this time. The FCC's website is fairly confusing. It's also apparently susceptible to spam and other attacks. Which saw multiple points across, they saw multiple points across the past 4 months. So early on, it became clear that an enormous number of spam replies were slipping through, including some that were attached to real people's names and addresses without their consent. So yeah, that's a thing that happened. So there appeared to be tens of thousands of fakes as early as May, just weeks after the proceedings started. So not only do they have to like sort through all these, but then they have to figure out how they're going to sort through like the legitimate ones and the spam ones.
I don't envy whoever's job that is.
No, I don't. Oh yeah, the comment system also went down briefly in May, to a spike in traffic after Here Comes John Oliver again. He did a segment and basically set up this whole website called GoFCCYourself.com that like puts you right on the page where you needed to be, and you just hit like one button and then like start typing in your stuff. Anyway, so what they're saying is that like it was a denial of service attack that basically like kind of affected the comment system. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, I read it in here. Basically, they weren't going to admit. I'm sure it wasn't a like. I think that the servers just got over flooded and stuff like that, which is.
That sounds more accurate, yeah.
Like, that's not technically a DDoS attack.
It's not really a DDoS attack, it's just they had too much traffic.
Yeah, they had too much traffic. Oh, okay, so the commission said the site went down to a denial of service attack rather than a typical traffic surge. But in the months since, the commission has declined to elaborate on details of the attack or provide any sort of documentation on what really happened, leaving room for speculation that the site was simply placed under too much stress by legitimate visitors.
Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
Well, the last time this happened, John Oliver did a segment on it, and people crashed the website. Because so many people were going to leave comments that they crashed the system. So I'm sure the same thing happened again. I mean, like, hello, government here? Like, yeah, they have tons of money, but they don't put it into, like, things like this. It's like, okay, you know.
Whatever.
Meanwhile, a telecom-backed study released, let's see, Friday, or no, this wouldn't have been Friday. It would have been Wednesday, found that many original comments are attached to disposable email addresses, which opens up the possibility that some of them are fake. Now, it's not clear how the FCC plans to deal with that, or the fact that it has such an overwhelming number of responses to sift through, but they're going to have to figure it out. And like you said, I do not envy the people who have to figure that out.
Indeed.
All the while, the FCC chairman has been trying to explain that comments don't really matter anyways, despite the commission's requirements to act in the public's interest and take public feedback. From the very beginning of the proceedings, FCC leadership laid out that it would be the quality, not the quantity of the comments that made a difference. So, in other words, it doesn't matter how many emails they got or comments or anything like that, but what those actually say in them.
Right. I don't know. That seems like a little bit of bias towards the cable companies there.
Well, okay, so Ajit Pai is a former lawyer for Verizon Wireless.
Right.
So,
Yes.
and we already know where he stands on net neutrality.
Uh-huh.
Let's see here. Now, on the surface, let's see here. Okay. On the surface, that's a reasonable argument, but it's being set out as an excuse to ignore the overwhelming millions of comments in support of net neutrality in favor of few well-written filings by Comcast and the like. Comcast, full disclosure, is an investor in Vox Media, The Verge's parent company, I guess. Anyway, even the telecom-funded study found that 60% of comments were in favor of keeping net neutrality in place. Now that the comment period has ended, the FCC will begin work on a revised version of its proposal, which it will then vote and quite likely pass, making it official policy. The commission is supposed to factor public input into the revisions, and in fact, much of the original proposal was just a big series of open-ended questions, so it'll probably be a little while before we actually see a final draft. Anyway, what I got out of this whole article, because I'm not going to continue reading it because this thing is super long, is
Yeah, I agree.
basically that we commented, and it sounds like that the FCC is just going to kind of like, well, screw you, and we're just going to kind of do what we want to do.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate. Yes, exactly. So what I'm hoping happens is that if the FCC decides to just kind of do their own thing and be like, well, screw net neutrality, or actually the way this kind of made it sound, it wasn't necessarily going to be like a whole like screw net neutrality, but we're gonna like totally relax the rules on it, so it basically is kind of like getting rid of it. So it's like getting rid of it without getting rid of it, if that makes any more sense. That's kind of what
it won't be good.
Yeah, that's what I got out of this. So what I'm hoping happens is, even though the comment period is now over, what I'm hoping is that if, net neutrality ends up getting abolished, which it may very well, and hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, hopefully there is a large, and I'm sure there actually probably would be, but hopefully there's a large outrage.
Yes.
Of people.
One large enough that they just can't ignore it.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be awesome. And you know what? So I was looking through the comment section on The Verge on this article, and it was amazing to see how people were still confused about what net neutrality actually is and what it actually protects and stuff like that. So there were people that were like in favor of abolishing it, and people were leaving comments below like, do you actually realize like what net neutrality actually does? So,
Hello?
Right? Now, okay, and we've talked about this before. Net neutrality is the idea that a service provider, an internet service provider, whether it be Comcast, Verizon, Mediacom, your local co-op, they can't discriminate against basically packets of information. So they can't say that we are going to throttle Netflix down to 1 meg, so you're forced to use our services. They can't take priority over, say, Verizon's messaging service or video service over, say, FaceTime or something like that. Basically, everything is equal. You can't discriminate against anything. That is what net neutrality is. So, and as we've seen in the past before, I don't actually know where that graphic went, but we had a graphic of some of the things that were actually problems. Comcast was actually throttling Netflix down, and they basically told them that if you want a faster connection and to be able to stream faster, you have to pay more money.
Well, they shouldn't be able to do that, but
Yeah. So under net
they are.
neutrality, you can't do that. With net neutrality in place, or without it in place, who's to say that Comcast won't do that? Stuff like that. So,
Well, they claim they won't do that, but I mean, what we all know is
but
probably going to happen is they'll play nice for a short while, and then they'll be like, "Hey, see, we told you. Look at how nice we are." And then they'll just quietly start doing
and this
things
is
like this
and this is
anyway.
yeah, and this is Ajit Pai's like thing here. Is he's like, we have to trust that the ISPs are going to do what's right. Complete.
Why do you have to trust them? We
Like,
already have rules that say they can't do this stuff. So
well,
why do we
okay,
have to even change?
but like here's
If
the
they
thing.
don't want to do it anyway, then why are we changing it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, if it's not a problem, then why did we need net neutrality in the first place?
And why are we getting rid of it if it's still not a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
As you say.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, like I said, I really hope that if net neutrality goes away, that people just have such an uprising that it's just like you said, something that they can't ignore. But anyway, we'll see what happens with it and everything.
Yeah.
But it's something. It's like this is actually this is scary. It kind of is when you think about it in perspective. And it's like, goes away and I don't know how noticeable it'll actually be. But now that the attention's been called to it, I don't know. I think it'll be more noticeable in certain things. It goes away. Like Comcast customers, if Comcast has already throttled not Microsoft, Netflix down before, again, who's to say that they're not going to do it again? Stuff like that.
Well, they claim they won't, but yeah, I don't think their word is very valuable.
Oh no, of course not. How can we, pump more money out of everyone? Even like Verizon, like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Remember when we did a speed test off of Netflix's servers and they were being throttled down to 10 megs?
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Well,
and that's with net
neutrality. It was a little bit higher than that, but
oh yeah, it was. But that's with net neutrality in place. If that goes away, there's no governance. There's nothing saying that they can't do that. So, I would imagine they're just going to do it. So anyway, but I mean, I'm sure we still have the option to call your people and call your Congress people and stuff like that, and tell them that you want net neutrality to stay and things like that. So anyway, we'll see what happens with it. Right now, it's kind of more. I think, unfortunately, it's kind of a waiting game now to see what's going to happen with it. So, all right. You know what? Before we get into the kicker, let me do this. Honorable mentions for this week. SanDisk now has a 400 gigabyte micro SD card.
Yeesh.
It's gonna set you back $249.
Yeesh.
So, about $250. Comes with a 10-year limited warranty. And what did I see? Transfer speeds of up to 100 megabits per second. So, anyway. Best Buy is now doing this thing where they'll actually send a service person to your house to suggest products for you to buy.
What?
Yeah.
That sounds kind of dumb.
It's their way of competing with Amazon and stuff like that.
That's an odd way to compete, I think, but all right.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, they send somebody to your house. They do an assessment. They say, "Oh, you should buy this and this and this," stuff like that. So, anyway, and Sharp is working on an 8K TV.
Aren't a lot of people working on 8K TVs?
I don't know actually. Let's see. It'll cost you. Well, it's not going to be available in the U.S. It's going to be available in Japan and Korea or something like that, I think. Where is it? Although I guess Japan's public broadcast began its first regular satellite broadcast in 8K resolution, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the TVs will start at 1 million yen, or that's about $9,000.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess there's like plans to build a U.S. plant in Wisconsin. That's going to cost the company like $10 billion. So anyway, yeah, honorable mentions there. Like I still feel like 4K is somewhat of a gimmick. So
I mean, it's becoming more common.
it's becoming more common. I don't see the 8K TVs rolling out anytime soon, though.
No, there'll be a while, yeah, but
I think it'll be a
guess
while.
if you can afford it, good for you.
Right. Although red cameras, like what Linus uses to shoot, and I think some like like major production companies use them too. They shoot in 8K. So the cool thing about like shooting in like 8K, even though like you might not have displays that like, or like a lot of people don't have displays that can actually support the resolution, it makes it really easy to like scale it down basically, and get like really nice shots and stuff like that with that. So anyway, I guess that's the benefit of using like the 8K stuff right now. So one more topic before we leave you this week. Zach, I threw this in there kind of for you. I know you love pizza.
Know it.
Food deliveries to the home typically end with someone knocking on your door to hand over the food order. But Domino's would like to remove that last part of the delivery process and instead require customers to walk over to the delivery car and retrieve their own pizza. So Domino's is teaming up with Ford to carry out a self-driving pizza delivery car, basically. And they're going to be doing tests.
Sounds cool.
They're going to be doing tests in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and going to be using Ford Fusion's hybrid vehicles for deliveries. Now, while they're doing these tests, there's still going to be a actual person in the car, just to make sure the thing doesn't crash or anything like that. Which is probably a good thing. So, I thought I had a graphic of this. I don't, but anyway. But yeah, that's probably a good thing. Let's see. The cars are going to be driving themselves, however, though. Customers will be able to track exactly where the pizza is at the as the journey happens before being informed, by a text message that lets them know that their food is outside and ready to be picked up. What we still don't know is how the process of collecting the pizza from the car is actually going to happen, and whether that's actually been automated as well. Let's see. If not, it will have to be if the self-driving delivery option is adopted and the backup driver eventually removed. Yeah, that'll get interesting. So yeah, basically that's kind of the whole point of the story. Domino's is teaming up with Ford to make a self-driving pizza delivery car.
Awesome.
Now, okay, you say awesome. Like, okay, so self-driving car, obviously you remove the human element of it. So, it means that you then have to go outside, at least at this point, theoretically, and go retrieve your pizza. Are you okay with that?
I mean, that's a little annoying, maybe.
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
like, okay, like, you know, for some people, it's like walking down, you know, like out the front door and, you know, out to the curb. I could see maybe other people, like in an apartment building that live on the top floor or something like that, like it being a little inconvenient. Or when there's bad weather and you don't want to get out, you know, you don't want to go outside to go get your pizza. So, like I said here, the other thing that you have to think about is how are they going to like regulate this, and like do you have to pay ahead of time or something like that, or like
And if you like pay with a card on the website or on the phone.
yeah, exactly. like, so how's the payment thing gonna work, and how are they going to like determine like, you know, this is your pizza and like only you get it, because you know, like this autonomous car just shows up and like, you know, if you're like in an apartment building, anyone can probably like, you know, just come up to the car and like, you know, grab the pizza or something like that. So I don't know.
I suppose.
Interesting concept. What do you think? And here's the other thing too. Like, okay, so it does end up working out, and there's these self-driving like pizza delivery cars. Because the idea is eventually that they're just going to be like totally automated on their own, nobody in them. Like, me as a business owner, the part that I would be worried about is like the liability of having
I'm
this.
sure they've got that sorted.
Of having this device, like, you know, having this vehicle driving itself autonomously. Like, so yeah. You know what? If they do adopt this, like, how soon do you think it'll be before we hear some story about how like self-driving Domino's car like crashes into something?
It'll probably be more like something crashed into it.
You know what? This opens up an interesting topic real quick though, and that is, well, I'll ask for your opinion first. Okay, so they're starting to make self-driving cars now. Like Volvo has one, Tesla, I think Mercedes has one. Like, moving forward, do you think that like more technology-enabled vehicles and stuff like that, do you think it'll cause less conflicts on the road? Or like, so do you think it'll cause less crashes, or do you think it'll open up to there being like more
Less crashes for sure.
And okay, and I agree with you, and here's why. Like, think about it. If all of our cars are interconnected and they can all talk with each other, then they're aware of where each other are. And, you know, you implement certain technologies and stuff like that. I totally agree with you on that, you know. Oh, one car knows where another car is, so it knows not to smack into it, hopefully, and other things like that. So, but anyway, so that'll be an interesting concept. Let me ask you this, though. So, if you had the opportunity to, like, ride in, like, or experience a self-driving car, like, and you were the one who was like technically quote unquote driving, or I guess in the like driver's seat, like, would you trust the automation?
Heck yeah, I would.
Would you? You would be like paranoid with like your hands by the wheel like the entire time?
Nah.
I really want somebody who has like a Tesla or a self-driving car. I want to go try this out. Like,
I mean, Teslas don't drive themselves anyway.
They do-ish? Like, so, I mean, you still have to sit there and, like, babysit the thing, but it's supposed to be able to drive itself. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's not fully autonomous. It's not like, you know, you hit the button, you go hop in the back seat. That's just dumb. But, yeah, the thing can drive itself. So, supposedly. I've seen videos of it doing it, but anyway. So, I think it would be totally fun to go try out. But, like, car that can drive itself? I'm all for that. I don't know about you.
Sounds alright.
All right. Well, that's about all I've got for this week on the Ram Show. So, as usual, Zach, I'm sure you don't have anything to add, do you?
Nope.
Not really. All right. Well, with that being said, then, I am going to go ahead and end this episode of The Ram Show. So, thank you a ton for checking out this episode of The Ram Show. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider hitting like on this video if you did. If you didn't like it, you can hit the dislike button. Consider getting subscribed to our channel if you really enjoy the content. There's a new end screen now, so let's see here. One side will be the last episode of The Ram Show. The other side will be a button to click to subscribe to the channel. It works on mobile too, so that's pretty awesome. And with that being said, we'll see you next week here on The Ram Show.